Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be revisiting blackened technical death metal band Zero Dawn. Now I first checked them out about 9 months ago when they released their debut single Day of Wrath, and only a matter of days ago they released a new track called Obsolete. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Now obviously, as I've covered them before, I'm not going to be recapping who the band are, anything about them, because we've done that all before and I don't want to be repeating myself. For this track I do have lyrics that came under the video, so they should be accurate. So yeah, I can't really think of much else to go for here, so we'll just go straight to the track and see what we have. So we've got Obsolete by Zero Dawn. Let's have a look. Well, there we go. Obsolete by Zero Dawn. And that was, for want of a better word, interesting. I mean, the opening verse of that track seemed a little bit odd. It seemed a little bit thin, a little bit weird. But the rest of the track was absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I've said many, many times I love it when bands use different vocal styles. And my God, there were so many in that track. I mean, they changed up the vocal style at least 4 or 5 times during that track. That was really very interesting and very impressive. Now, the song itself seems to follow on the same sort of line as the first track, Day of Wrath. And it's talking about the way that we're sort of destroying the world. And this track is essentially talking about the fact that humankind is obsolete and we're going to be making way for a new species, basically, to adopt our planet, because we've basically squandered it, we've destroyed it, you know, we've not treated it as well as we should have done, so we don't deserve it anymore. So we're going to be wiped off the planet to make way for another race or species that perhaps does deserve it and will treat it better. Now, something that was said to me by the band after I did the first track is the fact that this band, Zero Dawn, is inspired by the video game Horizon Zero Dawn, where the planet seems to, well, I haven't actually played the game, so I'm not 100% clear on the actual plot of the game, but, you know, from what I've seen, like, the planet has been overtaken by this sort of sentient race of sort of robot-like machines that appear to be animals. Like I said, I've not played the game, I don't really know that much about it. I really want to play it, but I just haven't got my hands on it yet. So the music seems to be sort of following along from that sort of thing. If I remember correctly, in Day of Wrath, it was talking about machines taking over the planet. And in this track, it's talking about, you know, the human race becoming obsolete. We are obsolete because of what we've done to the planet. And, you know, we're making way for a new, superior race that maybe deserves the planet and will treat it the way we should have treated it. So anyway, you have a look at the lyrics here. It says, "My magnum opus razed to ruin, smoke caresses the night sky. Flames billow within mountain caverns, chaos and corruption, absolute destruction. The process is complete, the time is now deplete, everything a victim to the swarm, defeat. When the earth gives way to the birth of an era, the detriment of man now whole and complete. How could we be so foolish? We should have known we are obsolete." So those final few lines there sort of give the whole thing away. You know, when the earth gives birth to a new era. So, you know, when the world is suddenly overtaken by a new species, you know, when we're wiped off the planet and it's clearing us away to give way to a new race, a new species that will actually appreciate the gifts that the earth has. You know, the detriment of man is now whole and complete. So, you know, we have finally failed utterly. You know, we've failed to enjoy and cherish the wonderful gift we've been given in this planet. How could we be so foolish? We should have known. You know, what? You know, we were stupid. You know, we've got this planet only with limited resources, and we've squandered it, we've destroyed it, you know, we've scourged it, we've polluted it, you know, we're slowly killing this planet, and, you know, it's only once it's gone too far we sort of go, hold on, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And it says, we are obsolete. It's like, we're useless now, there's no point to us. You know, the world doesn't want us anymore. It wants rid. It wants to make way for something that will actually care for it. Blinded by our own ambition, we are left incomplete. As their lust for control brings us to our knees, we now acquiesce in death. Their corruption program now fills their veins. Poison now fills their veins. Phantasmic massacre creeping forwards from the shadows. Nightmarish rebellion defiles us all. So again, blinded by our own ambition, we're left incomplete. As the lust for control brings us to our knees, we now acquiesce in death. So it's like, you know, we were always wanting more. You know, we were digging further into the ground. We were collecting more and more of these limited resources just to make stuff for ourselves out of sheer greed. You know, we build something big. It's not good enough. We need something bigger. We need something better. We build a new bloody iPhone every goddamn year. We don't need a new iPhone every goddamn year. And what happens to the old ones? They just get tossed in a landfill. They don't get recycled. You know, all these electronics that just get thrown away, you know, every year because someone's got the bigger, better, newer, shinier version, you know. So, you know, we're always wanting something more, and in the process, by making all these new shiny things that are completely unnecessary. I mean, let's face it, you don't need a new goddamn phone every bloody year. You don't need to make a bigger, better, faster, stronger, harder version of it every goddamn year. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, like, the original Nintendo system, that came out in sometime in the 80s, I think it was. You know, when did the Super Nintendo come out? That was quite some time later, if I recall. But now, you know, we've got the PS4, we've got the PS5 coming out, you know, we've got the Xbox One, we've got the Xbox Series X coming out. You know, all these things are happening so close together these days, you know, that, you know, we're just, everything is disposable now. It's everything is so temporary. Whereas back when I was younger, things were sort of built to last. We weren't expected to get the biggest, best, newest, fastest, shiniest thing, you know, the second it came out. But these days, everything is just disposable. It's like, oh my god, I've had this phone for 9 months. It's so old. I must get the new one. You know, this phone cost me 800 quid when I first bought it, but I must have another one now because, you know, this one's a year old. I'm going to spend another £800, £900 on the new phone, which does exactly the same as this one, but it's got a bigger number written on it, so I've got to have it, and all my friends are going to have it, and I don't want to feel like the poor boy with the old phone. You know, that's just the way it is these days. Anyway, it carries on. I went on a bit of a rant there, didn't I? Carries on. My magnum opus now raised to ruin. The process is complete. The time is now deplete. No hope for salvation. All of humanity. The cost. Degradation. Desolation. We should have known. We are obsolete. We're obsolete. Then it went into this sort of spoken part, which is, you know, which was quite interesting, and they used a very specific voice. It reminded me of another band, but I can't place my finger on who. It says, we were blinded by our own ambition. Were we always destined to fail? Our grand creation mocks our grasp for sentience. An eternal gloom spreads within. Helpless, I am unable to save you. We now pay our price, my dear. We now acquiesce in death. And then it goes back into the hard and heavy music. All of human life erased, the cost must be paid. The swarm is our fate, it's too late. The swarm is our fate, it's too late. We were blinded by our own ambition, were we always destined to fail? Our grand creation mocking our grasp for sentience. We were blinded by our own ambition, were we always destined to fail? Now we pay our price, my dear. I now descend to the depths. You can't ascend to the depths, can you? We now descend to the depths, and then that's it. So it is literally talking about the fact that, you know, we're treating the planet like garbage. You know, we've not been very kind to this planet at all, and it's the only thing available to sustain us, and we're treating it like garbage, you know. We're filling it up with garbage, we're polluting the air, you know. We don't seem to give a shite, you know. And in our pursuit of wanting everything bigger, better, stronger and faster, you know, we've got all these disposable electronics that are just getting tossed into landfills. You know, we're using up all the Earth's resources, but we're not replenishing anything. You know, that's why we're so dependent now, or that's why we're so invested now in trying to find renewable resources like air power. And yeah, and you know, like water power and stuff like that to try and power the world, because of things like coal and oil. You know, we've finally come to the conclusion that these things are actually bad, although there are some absolute morons on this planet who don't believe that that's a real thing and are still insistent that coal and oil and nuclear power are still the best things for this planet, because they're just so stupid. But anyway, that's not the point. You know, so it's basically going on about how we've treated this planet so badly, we don't deserve it anymore. So we're being swept aside to make way for people who, for another race, for another era of the world, as it is. You know, making way for a new dawn, for another race who maybe will treat the planet the way it's supposed to be treated. You know, they're going to reset the whole thing and start again. You know, we've had our chance, we ruined it, you know, we squandered it, we can go away, we don't deserve it, give someone else a chance. And, you know, it makes perfect sense, because, you know, like I said, we've been incredibly unkind to this planet, and at the end of the day, you know, if you're not gonna treat something nice, you might as well not have it at all. So yeah, good song, good meaning, and very, very interesting. You know, like I said, the whole mix of the many different vocal styles there was very, very interesting. Some of them were a little bit quiet and kind of got drowned out by the music. There was one specifically right near the beginning and right near the end. You know, there was maybe 2 lines done in one of these vocal styles, and it was so quiet it almost got drowned out by the music. So either maybe some mixing didn't quite go right, or maybe that was the intention, I don't know, but you know, it almost got lost in the music. But yes, very good, very interesting, very heavy. Like I said, the first verse, you know, the music seemed to be a little bit on the thin side. Again, that may have been intentional. The first verse sounded a bit weird musically, but for the rest of it, you know, hard, heavy. There was a moment in it that actually reminded me a bit of the band Nocturnus, which is a band that I really enjoyed in my younger days. I say in my younger days, I still enjoy them, but I don't even know if they're still about anymore. But you know, they were somewhat of an obscure band, I believe. I think they only released maybe 3 albums, and you know, I've got those 3 albums. You know, and they're it was a very good band, and there was something in this track that actually reminded me a bit of Nocturnus. So yeah, but I don't know what else to say about that, so I'll leave that as it is. And now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would be of great help to me. There is an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire. There is a little bit of a limitation on that, though, just to be fair to other people who suggest tracks through regular means. If you do suggest tracks through regular means, such as Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube comments, do know it might take me a while to get around to your suggestions, since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so I will get done eventually. It's just going to take me a while to get around to it, I'm afraid. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mainly those involving people of the alternative culture, but essentially they do want to put an end to all hate crimes, and it's something I believe in very, very strongly, something I am very, very passionate about, because violent attacks on people of the alternative community is something that it's been going on for decades, but is never addressed. You know, no one ever speaks about it, nothing gets done about it, and that's something that really, really needs to change. You know, because we're not talking about, people getting shoulder rammed or, shoved or names called at them from across the street. We're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting beaten severely. People are getting hospitalised with broken limbs and sometimes more life-threatening injuries just because of their taste in music and clothing. And this is something that never gets spoken about. Nothing, no topic is ever raised about this unless something insanely tragic happens. The last time anything like this was widely spoken about was 13 years ago when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently attacked by a group of people and beaten, punched, kicked, knocked to the ground and beaten even more. They had their heads stamped on and they were beaten so severely that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he thankfully survived. He was in a coma for around about a week, maybe a bit longer. I can't remember exactly how long, but he thankfully survived. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and she was beaten to death because of her taste in music and clothing. And like I said, this happened 13 years ago. It was all over the news at the time. There was coverage of it for days and days and days. But then, when that sort of died off, we've not heard anything since. In 13 years, we've not heard anything since. But I guarantee you, in fact, I know there have been hundreds, if not thousands, more cases of something similar happening. But in those cases, nobody died. So, nobody's spoken about it. And that's just not good enough. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before this subject gets spoken about. Every single day on every media platform available, we hear of all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, whatever. We hear about these things on a daily basis. We hear all facets of it, from like the most violent of these crimes where someone is murdered for the colour of their skin or their sexual identity or their religious beliefs, down to the most petty and pathetic of these crimes where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public area. We hear everything about these every single day, but we hear nothing about these people that are getting beaten half to death just because of their taste in music. And that is something that really needs to change. Because this is happening all the time. It's been going on for decades. It happens on a daily basis that people from the alternative community are getting attacked verbally, psychologically, physically, just because of their taste in music. There used to be a time when I lived down south, there was a time when I couldn't leave my house without some sort of random insult being shouted at me every single day. And just because of my taste in music, just because of my choice in clothing. I can't count the amount of times I've been cornered and beaten into the ground by a group of people just because of the fact that I wear alternative clothing, just because of my choice in music. It's happened to many of my friends, it's happened to many of my family members, but this is something that just never gets spoken about, and that is not good enough. We can't allow what happened to Sophie Lancaster ever happen again. We need more people to talk about this. We need this to come to the forefront so something can get done. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to get more people talking about this. They want to put a stop to these sort of things happening. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks because of the small-minded actions of a bunch of misinformed morons who can't handle the fact that not everybody has the same ideal. Not everybody has the same opinions. Not everybody has the same tastes. If everybody liked the same stuff, the world would be a boring place. If we all liked the same music, we wouldn't have the vast array and diversity of music that we have now. If everybody liked the same TV shows, we'd have one channel showing the same dross over and over and over. Everybody's entitled to like something different, and people most certainly do not deserve to be beaten into the ground just because they don't like the same thing as you. Everyone is allowed to have a different taste. Everyone is allowed to have a different opinion. And it's not up to you to decide whether it's right or wrong. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously you don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even that one, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. See you again soon.